Good evening. Welcome to Game 2 of the Westpac Women's Premiership, the final round game of the year. Ellenbrook Rabbitohs taking on the Fremantle Roosters. Top spot on the line here. Freo, well, they're playing for fun here as we get producer Harley out of the box. Ellenbrook Rabbitohs, well, any win for them here this evening, even a draw gives them that top spot. No, sorry, draw doesn't. Must win to get the minor premiership and book themselves, Donny, a spot straight in the grand final.
Absolutely. It's a preliminary final, basically, for the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. If they win, they're in the grand final. That's the simple equation. Like you said, a draw's not good enough. And the Fremantle Roosters, it's an interesting one for them, though, isn't it? Because, well, they're going to finish third, win, lose, or draw. I mean, of course, if they lose by 130, then then they could drop down, but I don't think that's going to happen. So really, there's not. What's the motivation for the Roosters, Nick?
It's tricky. I mean, it's one of those awkward days where they G themselves up all week, all Friday. You're at work, you're getting ready to this big fixture. Then they see the 8-0 in the first 5 minutes of the first fixture of the night, and they go, phew, we're all right here. Then all of a sudden it's a 4-point margin, it's a level ball game. You're in the middle of your warm-up, you've got to G yourselves up again. I would say this would be a mentally fatigued outfit now, knowing that they don't have to win this game for anything to be achieved.
Well, I'll tell you what. Who do they play next week if they win?
Oh, that's
Who do they play
true.
next? If they win this game, they play this same team. They get a psychological advantage over the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. They win here tonight, they get the psychological advantage heading into the actual preliminary final next week.
Well, do you actually fancy yourself 2 weeks in a row against the Rabbitohs, or would you rather leave it to the last dance? A lot of questions, Ruru Hanaki, and real nothing set to start us off. And then we kickstart things off the first possession of the game for the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. Very good return of the footy, Ruru Hanaki. Has done it all year, watched April Allen in the game previous and followed on suit with a 70-metre return of her own.
Well, the first two runs here for the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs, it looks like the Fremantle Roosters are quite happy to play a little bit of touch football. The Ellenbrook side just rumbling straight through the middle. Now Tumalu plays the ball. They work out. Mahunarangi Claire just takes them on, spinning towards the line, rolls over. Does she get to the line just short? Mika at dummy half goes for a dart and dives over right in the corner. And Taliana Mika scores the first try of this game, and it's 4-0, kick to come. Ellenbrook, great start.
Didn't disguise this too well. Always was going to be looking to the left and just needed a little more communication there. Jenkins was left with a one-on-one with 2 metres to cover. Tricky one to hold out, Rabbitohs. That's the start they want. And you weren't wrong, Donny. They were rolling back in defence to start that one off. Fremantle put themselves in a vulnerable position. Took full advantage of the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs at home tonight at Charlotte Vineyard Reserve. And they looked the goods. Kaylee Thompson from the sideline. We saw one out of 6 in the game previous converted, and a lot of them were from the sideline. Kaylee Thompson with a decent nudge could get a good record underway tonight.
Yeah, one of the best in the business in terms of goal kickers, but it's a difficult one to start. But I want to pick up on one of the things you said there, that she was always going to run from dummy half there, Mika. She didn't disguise it very well, and yet still there were no defenders on that side. She had no choice but to run. It was an easy decision, as you say, one-on-one with Jenkins, and she was always going to win that battle. There's that one out to the left and waved away. So it will be Ellenbrook to lead 4-0 on the Fuel to Go and Play scoreboard.
Yeah, just where you need comms to be at its best. First couple minutes of the game, you'd think you got enough energy to spit one out of just, well, I need to be on the outside shoulder here, so can I get one of you markers to come across with me? And there was no one really to pull across. They were well set out to the right-hand side. You just got to communicate, make sure those numbers are matched up all around the park early, especially against a class outfit like Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. Nowhere for the Roosters to go, unless, as you said, Donny, what was the number?
Well, about 130. Somewhere. If it gets close to there, then we'll start to do the math, I think.
2 points a minute. That's a bit of math.
If we get close to that, then we might have time to do the math, because I don't know whether we'll be still paying too much attention to the game.
Free to
really will be
Arsam.
touch football.
Through the middle of the park. Good little run and a jink off the right foot. Offload was good enough. Rush defence now is a little bit splintered. Ends up being a nice tackle from Annalise Henry. Turner inside for Arsam. Up on the 40. Inside ball. Nice little run on with a little bit of pace. Nona Bush eventually got up to play. They kick it out a little bit wider. Scrubbly ball. Not too much interest from the fullback. Forces Tina Jenkins to come in and do some more early work. Good net set defensively. One just laying around in Jerea Turner at the bottom of that ruck. Nice drag backwards tackle by Tumalu, who's had a good start to this game, involved in attack and defence. Line speed tremendous. Roosters are going absolutely nowhere early here. Somehow we're already 5 minutes into this quarter. I mean, this
Jerea Turner lucky to get away with a little leg pull at the end of that.
Just a little bit of extras getting paid under Claudia Foster. Michaela Turner-Wallace just commanding the troops around the pass.
It looks like Katarina Horner in 15.
Adjust your notes.
Not Claudia Foster as it was originally named. I haven't seen Claudia out there yet, but we see an error there from the Roosters. Just getting towards the back end of their set, unable to come up with a completion. Would have been an important one for them to complete. Unable to do so. It's now Talamira taking that one forward, and then Ruru Hanaki. She's chopped down, and a good attacking position now. Sarah Arsam out on the field, and they back away and they part like the Red Sea. No one wanted to tackle her. Eventually it is made by Turner Wallace. The dummy and go. It's now the Rabbitohs through Turner. Jerea Turner put down. Pointing over to the right-hand side, Kaylee Thompson, double pumped, Talamira. She's got the black number on, which it makes it difficult to pick up, but she's the only one in a different jersey, so we'll be able to work it out. Jerea Turner, again, charging out of the line, puts a kick in behind. It sits up nicely for Marshall, and the Roosters come away with it.
Good pickup by Marshall as well. That ball coming at pace, took it on the half volley pretty cleanly and wanted to get on with the job. Jenkins under some pressure early, a little bit of a noogie headlock on the way down, not a high tackle, just on the slip through. Tugiwaho slips off the tackle, Arsam cleans it up. A little bit unorganised out to the left here, going to make an awkward one-on-one wide. Isabel Bailey just gets dragged across and all the way over into touch. Yeah, it was isolated, and they identified it really early and dragged her 15 metres into touch.
This looks like a switched-on Rabbitohs team right now. They look dialed in and ready for finals. This is a tune-up game for them.
Little run around the park. They won 5 premierships in a row. They had every premiership in the league's history until last year where Joondalup tipped them off. We're just going to get these tackles down.
Didn't seem to bother Hayley Jeremiah too much. Goldsworthy taps and gives it on now to Arsam, and again, reluctant defenders get in on Sarah Arsam. So now with Claire, holds it out the back. Rua Hanaki looking to stand up Marshall, goes back infield. Does that little thing where she teleports and ends up in one position where you can't even work out how she got there. Now they come back towards the middle. Arsam, again going the only direction she knows how to. She's on a one-way track. Now Jerea Turner. They go out and Nona Bush coming back against the grain. Well, coming over the top. I don't know who that was flying in. Smashes Nona Bush and prevents her from getting into the in-goal. Now Thompson tips it on quickly. Juggled there by Ruhanaki. She'll play it back to Talamira, who again goes to Thompson. Thompson's going to put the ball in the air. Juggle there from the Fremantle Roosters, but claimed in the in goal by Jenkins. Oh no, said the first attempt to catch it was in the field of play and then went back into the in goal on the juggle and goal line dropout.
Putting a lot of pressure on Tina Jenkins early here. She might even need a spell at some point in this game. It's going to be a lot of effort if they keep targeting left wing. Drop out, sits up pretty friendly for Tuimalu. Got a head of steam right back into the line. Flat ball. Tukiwaho. Pretty mundane start to the set. Exactly what Ellenbrook wants so they can put the pedal on later. Straight one for Drea Turner. Right hand side, Thompson. Rush defense was good, so just step back on the inside a little bit. Now the comms come from Claire on the outside, although we might have walked all the way over. They used this a couple of weeks ago where they really wanted to play these ones quickly and now getting held up by the referee. Assam, good work early here. He's got involved, 4 runs already. Only 11 minutes in. Now they got to go deep. Miscommunication. Ball lands between both players. Saw running in the entire way there. Turner was saying, not me, not me, not me. Ball still went only about a metre behind her back, 6 metres in front of Claire, who was running into some good space.
Yeah, well, it was a tough one when you're that close to the try line on last play. You really need your halves to get a little deeper as well. Demi Goldsworthy didn't seem to really know where that pass was supposed to be going, and it's got to be crisp in that situation, and it simply wasn't. About the only thing Ellenbrook has done so far tonight that hasn't been crisp, though, as the Fremantle Roosters come up with another error.
There's no real scoreboard pressure yet, Donny, but you can see very soon where this could start converting dangerously. It need to get out of their own half and quickly. Probably the quickest way at the moment is through conceding, but we're not hoping for that.
Well, we saw in the first game tonight it was 8-0 after 5 minutes, and we were worried about it blowing out. This one still only 4-0, and we're almost 12 minutes in. So, and Fremantle haven't played well, but they're only 4-0 down. That's the positive for them. It goes across to Claire. Claire out the back. It goes again there with Ruinaki. Comes back infield. Didn't like what she had to the outside. Goldsworthy goes to Assam. Goes over the top of one. Leaves Turner Wallace in a wake. Unable to put it to the ground. She'll play the ball again back to Goldsworthy. Goes to Turner. Short ball to Nona Bush. Nona Bush will be put down onto her back. So good work there defensively from the Roosters. They work to the right-hand side. Kaylee Thompson, short ball, and they crash over. Well, they go through. Huia Swanell goes across to score the try. She is a powerful ball runner on that right-hand edge. We haven't seen a lot of her this year, but she is a hell of a player. And that's the kind of weapon and the weapon that she possesses. Close to the line, very hard to stop.
Yeah, just saw both defenders came out of the line pretty strongly. Kaylee Thompson just held the ball up for long enough. It was no real mystery pass. Knew she was going to do it. Just had that outside defender's shoulder. Just committed a little bit too early. I believe it was Isabel Bailey. And then just got turned around on the outside. Easy way to score through. 8-0 with a kick to come.
Yeah, she's having a player like Huia Swanell out on the edge there is such a weapon for them. You don't even need to isolate her one-on-one. You can isolate her 2-on-1 and she'll be strong enough to get the better of a 2-on-1 situation and score. So close to the line, as we saw there, very difficult to stop. 8-0, kick to come.
A very interesting atmosphere building down here. Lots of home fans have turned out for this Ellenbrook Rabbitohs final home game of the year. To what a good nudge by Kaylee Thompson. Looked really good off the boot, had no idea on the angle. You can just tell by the strike that that was always going to be close, and was more than close, straight through the middle.
With 10-0 on the fuel to go and play scoreboard. The Ellenbrook Rabbitohs in front, and well, Fremantle, they've had no ball, no territory, but they've done it to themselves. They've got no one to blame but themselves. It's not the referee that's gifting it to Ellenbrook or anything of that nature. It's been errors from the Roosters so far that they just haven't allowed themselves into this contest yet. Norton ready to kick off. Didn't quite like the placement of the ball on the tee, but she's ready to go now. And we're back underway. That one off the legs there of Jean Alley. Who eventually gets hold of it. That's stripped out, is it?
Lost that. Should be play. Ooh, should be play.
Call it back. My instinct watching it live was it was ripped out, but we've got 3 other people in there.
I think it was a good pickup. I think it was a good leg drive, and then I think it was a genuine drop. We'll see. First attacking piece really for the Roosters here now. Goes a deep one first stop. No real way through the hole. What was the jersey change again there, Donnie?
That's Katarina Horner.
Katarina Horner. Forgot to actually change it on the old notes. Still work their way up through the line, Rutene. Going backwards at the moment still, though. Need to come on with a little bit of conviction. Didn't know we had a 24 tonight either.
Yeah, it's always difficult with the Fremantle Roosters, isn't it? I saw the 24 that came up with the ball from that knock on from Ali.
Pardon me.
Trying to work out who it was as Marshall.
Set to go, Jetta from the half. King out of that 7 jersey tonight. Don't know where she's ended up. Ball comes loose at the bottom. Got to be played through this time. Goldsworthy nowhere really to go. Oh, it hurts the knee a little bit on the way down. Maybe no, just a grimace on the face. Ruru Hinaki early in the set, deep in the half. Just really accelerates them out of that danger zone nicely.
I've loved the work rate from Ruru Hinaki tonight. As Kaylee Thompson splits them through the middle, looking for support, trying to position anyone. No one was supporting, just has to take the tackle there in the end. Now it goes to Turner, Jereya Turner. Well, she's always loved the contact. I think 13's her spot. And now they come across to this left-hand side. Going back against the grain. Pasena Grinnell will play the ball back. Now they come across to Claire. Claire fires it across. They go wide. Oh. And a great shot one-on-one there. Well, she's been targeted, Tina Jenkins. She comes up with a good wobbly tackle there.
I think that was just a slip, actually.
And an error as well, so there should be some pats on the back for Tina Jenkins.
Yeah, that's a good hit. A good reply. I thought for a second there might have been a little bit wobbly, but on second consideration, it's a slip. Look at the contact, chest on chest. Good to see.
Well, it's been a good battle out there. Taliana Mika got the better of her with the first try of the game. Did not get the better of her that time.
And then forced an awkward play of the ball, rolled it down off the shins of the defensive player.
Well, after 2 rounds, it's 1 round apiece. We're 19 all on the 10-point must system.
Heaps of footy left.
And the Roosters working out of their end. Nona Bush coming up with that tackle. A little run from dummy half. This time from Higgins. Nowhere for her to go, though. I'm not sure where she was trying to go, but... and comes up with the error. She comes up, but and basically gives the referee the signal. I've just dropped it. I don't have the ball anymore.
There's some bit of chat after as well. They're looking to impact on this game, Rabbitohs.
Well, the home crowd is having an impact. You can hear them making a little bit of noise in the effects mics. Their impact has been noted. It's always nice when you get an opportunity to play at home. Now Cope. Can't miss Tui Cope. With the throwback, the flash of blonde hair. Jerea Turner. Dummies to the outside to Claire, but didn't even look at her. I don't know whether a dummy is effective when you don't look at where you're trying to dummy to. Claire now gets the pass. Comes out, and again, Ruaranaki involved. Katarina Horner comes up with the tackle. Claire now to dummy half. They go the pass, a couple of wide, and there's been a whistle, which
It's against Ruaranaki here, and it's almost vicious.
Well, as soon as the whistle came, it had to be against Ellenbrook, because there was no playing of the advantage. We'll have a look on the replay. Just slapped down.
Maybe just thought there was more in that first one than there was.
Yeah, she was trying to slap the arm away and missed. There was nothing in that at all on the replay.
I think he's gone off vibes, though. There was clear intent. There was an angry Ruaranaki, that's for sure.
He's a big vibe man, James Maggio. Loves the castle.
Just waiting for Norton to come across, kick this one for some metres. 9 minutes to go in the first half.
Well, that's flown past this first half. We've got a vocal supporter near the effects mic. Giving plenty of advice. Maybe we'll just let her commentate the rest of this half, Nick.
There's enough there to be warranted. Just get her to send in her invoice on time. That's all we ask. Across the back, Roosters. Defence looks really good from the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. Going to have to talk about it at some point tonight as well. Looking like a unit that's worked on their communications. Been slow starts to the year defensively. They've let through one or two at the start of each half for probably the last 4 or 5 weeks now as well. It's been a worry. Norton's going to kick right through the centre of the ground to relieve some pressure.
Well, not much pressure. They're going to be starting inside the Roosters' half. That was a fabulous defensive set. Their line speed is exceptional. Everything they are doing is at pace. And Fremantle just don't look like they have time. They can't get into the contest. They can't get into the grind. They are struggling to compete with the Rabbitohs right now. It's only 10-0, but it feels much worse than that.
Well, it's just a different side. We spoke about it, in fact, last week, Donny, where we get half a little break from Runga in the middle. Gee, maybe we'll wait. 2 tackles left in the set. Set and ready to fire the Rabbitohs again. Thompson pumping, faking again. Surrenders nicely. Keeps the ankle for the finals. Last. Turner. Really high. Testing out wide again. Still holding her own after those first couple of testers. Tina Jenkins half a metre out from the line. And they're going to start their set from deep again. Get a penalty as well. A little bit of pressure relief, but... well, no, actually, I forgot the point I was going to come back to about Ellenbrook. Donny, give me a second.
Well, that penalty will certainly help. Again, Tina Jenkins put under all sorts of pressure. She stood up to most of it here tonight. She's having a fine game, but yeah, under plenty of pressure. I think you've got it back, Nick.
Yeah, I've got that one back. It's a really different outfit, and we touched on it all last week where I said Fremantle Roosters are probably the best at-home side. They play so well at Treeview Community Centre, and they do get to play a lot of good games there, some good Friday night fixtures. They've got good home crowd, they get good support, and it looks like a totally different outfit once we go 50 minutes north. It just is a bit of a drive, might affect them. The home crowd is certainly good. Obviously, playing on the Rabbitohs' home turf doesn't help either.
Yeah. Norton, well, looked to throw the long pass out to the winger who was about 3 metres in front of her by the time she wanted to throw it, and wisely held onto it and decided to just take the tackle. Blake they've actually got into the Rabbitohs half there. I don't think that's the first time in the game. Is that the first tackle in the Rabbitohs half in the game? We'll get the stat man on it.
He's looking. Ruru Hanaki looking at the defence.
Oh!
Big seatbelt. She wants to go again here as well.
Well, it didn't bother her. She was ready to go, get up and keep going.
They have already been warned for high tackles. Fremantle, this is going to hurt. If he's going to reach for the pocket, all the 10 fingers. Probably just good refereeing there. He's noted down the number, so that's a big warning there. Right against Annalise Henry. But I would dare say the next one's probably going to the bin regardless, Donny.
Yeah, they won't get a third warning, you wouldn't think. Kaylee Thompson looked to find touch. Well, she struck that quite as well as she would have liked. As we're used to seeing, it wasn't the crisp sound of the Kaylee Thompson boot that I'm used to hearing through the winter time. But it finds the sideline all the same, and they go on the attack now through Lananona Bush. She'll play the ball as they come back towards the middle, and Jerea Turner had the arm free, couldn't pop that one out the back to Tukiwaho, who was in support. She gets a run now, Tukiwaho. Chop down low, plays it back to Goldsworthy. They work towards the right-hand side with Thompson. Thompson, dummy, go, slices through, fend in the fullback's chest. And she has a bit of chirp as well as she brings it around to score beside the post. Well, a bit of Kaylee Thompson brilliance, if you don't mind.
Just all class around the park at the moment. Gave him a favourable field position off the back of a good high tackle. And, oh yeah, Kaylee Thompson, say no more. Love that show on the outside, the half pass, kept it in one hand and never really had to transition off the right foot, just kept the angle strong.
I'd love to know what she had to say as she gave the fend there to Keani Atwell and then sort of turned around and had something to say. I'm not sure exactly who it was directed to, whether it was Atwell or whoever it might have been involved in that last tackle a moment ago. 14 points to nil, kick to come. A chance now for Kaylee Thompson. Make it 16 blot just before half time. Well, they've been pretty professional in the way that they've gone about it so far, the Rabbitohs. 3 tries to nothing. They haven't blown the Roosters off the park. They've looked in complete control of this game from kickoff, but they haven't completely gotten rid of the Roosters, which might be somewhat concerning.
I think as well you've got to start looking at what do the Rabbitohs start to look to achieve now through the second half. I mean, we're about to go into the halftime break. A comfortable-ish lead, you'd say they can turn it on at any moment, but do you really now start to, instead of just trying to score and run and win one-on-ones, work through the next couple of weeks, because this could be the last 30 minutes they play until the grand final, which could be a big hindrance in some aspects, so you might want to actually start to run through a bit of your systems for that grand final day.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I sort of said it in passing earlier on in this half that this is a tune-up for them. This is a tune-up game for them to work on things that they're going to have to get right on grand final day. And theoretically, they could be playing this team in the grand final. I mean, Fremantle could definitely beat Joondalup next week.
It's more the question to me of do you practice with Kaylee in, expecting her to be there, or do you now shift her one pass out, 2 passes out, that one's going to go straight out? And maybe just, obviously, Jerea Turner's always good with the ball, Claire's always good with the ball, but just getting a bit more ball into their hands through the second half may be beneficial, or do you want Thompson really just getting in the flow of things?
Yeah, I think you want to keep doing what you plan to do on grand final day. They really haven't had a lot of time this season with their best team. This is the strongest looking team I've seen from the Rabbitohs so far this year. And I think they're all in their right spots, and you want to try and make sure those combinations are as crisp as they can be.
Probably the one worry out there. I'm just trying to see if she's back out now, but Frida Assam had one of the first hit-ups of the game, and then haven't seen her return just of yet to the park at all, which is probably a concern if we haven't seen her come off the bench. She did start the game, and off the kickoff already looked a little bit awkward. Good shovel out the right-hand side in the meantime. Thompson with an arm free, using it to swat away all opponents. Turner straightens up in the line, ignores the run on the outside. Claire set left. Thompson right instead. Jabby little kick to the corner, disrupted by hand. And it'll be 6 again to the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs over on the far side.
Well, they know there's not long left here until the break, so they're going to have to... It's a touch, play the ball, and then there's the siren sound, so they're not going to get to bring the ball into play. So that should be the halftime siren.
We've got a double as well there. Got a little bit keen, gave it 2 presses. 16-0 the halftime score here. Ellenbrook Rabbitohs looking like they're halfway, well, exactly halfway to getting one hand on to a grand final spot. If they can go on to win this one, they'll be booking themselves a ticket all the way to the end in only 2 weeks' time. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back with the second half right after this. Welcome back. Second half of the final game of the year in this Westpac Women's Premiership. Just about to get underway. 16 points to nil. The Rabbitohs one hand on the minor Premiership and that spot in the grand final. Roosters, well, you got to be nervous. There's got to be a decent team chat at halftime, Donny, and whether it was let's get ready for the Giants next week or let's at least show up and front up for this second half, I'm sure that story's going to get told in the next half an hour.
They weren't in that first half at all. I think there was one tackle in the Rabbitohs half in that entire 30 minutes. Yep. They didn't have any territory. They had barely any possession. The only positive for the Fremantle Roosters is that it's only 16-0.
Correct.
Because it feels like it should be 30-0. Like it has been all Ellenbrook. They have dominated that first 30. Fremantle, they've got to find some way of getting in this game because, as we said, they win next week, they play Ellenbrook again in a grand final.
Exactly.
They don't want to be going in with this in mind, with this game in mind where they've been completely dominated. So they'll want to be better in this second 30.
Norton gets us back underway, straight to Ruru Hanaki, who wants to dish off on the outside.
That's the player that you were looking for before?
Sorry?
Free to back on?
Oh, so yeah, there we go. Has completed another set. Thank you. You pointed at me and you freaked me out of my own missions. Goes to the other arse arm for tackle 2. Thought you were pointing out something with Ruru Hanakian. I thought it was pretty regulation, to be honest. It's just an offload to a forward.
It was just before half-time you were concerned that something may have happened to Frida Assam, but
I can't see any strapping or anything either, so we'll take a close look as the half progresses. Hopefully nothing too major. Thompson, for the second time tonight, surrendering under her own volition. Coach's orders, maybe. Speculation can run rife there.
I think it was on that occasion, Hui Swinell sort of ran in front of her, so didn't want to get penalised for an obstruction. She just surrendered in the tackle. As the Rabbitohs get through their first set and just a little dab down into the corner. It's not going to go dead. It's a perfectly weighted kick. Thompson chases her own kick as a true professional that she is, and a goal line dropout.
He probably had to take the risk there that was going to take another bounce or two and just body block. Left it a long, long time there, Tegan Higgins.
Had time, I think, to be able to wait and hope that it took a friendly roll. But
it's probably on this bounce here, had to grab it if she was going to go. One bounce later and it adds up to a lot of time in the chasing defence. Shortish dropout. It's going to gift a really nice set towards the line here for Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. And Donny will try keep alive on the stat from this position. Will they get a tackle in the opposition half? We'll see. Hanaki was brought down. Assam, Sarah Variety, works up into the line. Nice little carry for Claire. Off to the other Assam. Free to this time to ground. Brought it in nicely. Drea Turner wants this one a little bit quicker out to the right. Runs into a short hole. Half went herself. Clear instruction to slow these held-ups down this week. Finally set and ready now. Assam again. Doing a better job of tackling her this half. Being told they have to commit around. Miscommunication on the back door again. It's been selling it too well, Drea Turner. Freda Assam just carries it into the line, changeover. But that's twice tonight that she's been screaming for the ball on an obvious fake, and they've tried to pass it to her thinking the original move's off.
That was almost comical, though, that one. She was screaming for the ball while pointing back to Kaylee Thompson at the same time, and yet the ball went to Freda Assam, like it went behind Drea to completely the wrong player. So that's something that Ellenbrook will want to sharpen up in the next fortnight.
It's twice as well.
Yep.
It makes a big difference. Two very important goal line sets gone astray. Still puts the hard mission, made even harder by an errant pass for Fremantle to get into the opposition half. Henry showed on the outside.
Turner Wallace. Picked up and put down onto her back, and again, just controlling things, slowing things down. We get to the kick from Beth Norton again from deep inside her own territory. Gets plenty of it. It's a nice nudge there from Beth Norton. So they get some, and a penalty. Well,
saw it real time. Didn't want to comment it.
Got flung around. I was like, I'll just let it go. But nah, you've got to call it when you see it.
I think they've just got a little bit of a blessing of the halftime cool down there from the referee as well. Remember, there was a message that went out in the other rugby code a few years ago of, we're letting too many boys on final warnings get away with it when the next half starts. And luckily he's met the moment of the game and said, no, that's okay, that high tackle.
Yeah, that one was, there wasn't too much ferocity in that one. Although there was 2 warnings in the first half for Fremantle for high shots as Tui Cope takes the tap and go. Player that's got a hell of a lot of skill, like it's just a real bag of tricks to Tui Cope, and I don't know that we've quite seen the best of her in 2024. The Rabbitohs another opportunity to attack after the penalty as Jiraiya Turner holds the ball out in front, gets it underneath to Tuimalu. Tuimalu will play the ball, and again Jiraiya Turner waits. Goes to the line and it just opens up. Well, you could have driven a truck through that gap. And Jiraiya Turner's too good a player not to take that opportunity.
I think a lot of players might have kicked off the right foot, maybe 5 or 6 metres earlier than Turner did there. But I think she identified the gap and kept growing it by running on the outside. There was no reason to step until you met the defensive line, and that's that little bit of footy knowledge that you got to have. We got a 2 metre gap. Let's make it 6 and guarantee this try. Really suck the defence across, and eventually you just go off the right foot, score it underneath, and easy job for the kicker in Kaylee Thompson. 20. Potentially about to be 22 points to 0.
Yeah, it's concerning. That's a concerning try there for Jiraiya Turner, because that gap opens up because of fatigue. But we're only a few minutes into this second half. Fatigue shouldn't be a big issue. But there was clearly a player on the inside that just did not slide at all. And that opened up a massive gap for Jiraiya Turner to slide through. Some big question marks right now for the Roosters, and some serious chat there in that huddle.
It looks composed though, which is also the scary part of it. When you're getting the condensed version of an angry chat, there is some steaming anger behind some of the words. 22-0, conversion successful. It's going to be a big fact-finding week through the vision, I think, for the Roosters. Just a completely different side than we've seen competing at Treeby Community Centre for the last month. And it'd be interesting. I haven't been able to spot too many around in the crowd, but a few would have stayed to watch this game from the Joondalup Giants. Important intel coming out of this game, knowing who's running where. It is a late Friday night, but at least it's semi-local to the Giants themselves.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of a positive being in Ellenbrook for the Giants. You'd expect that a lot of them would have stuck around. They might be over on the camera side, so we can't see them, but they'll certainly be. Anika Stevens wouldn't have gone too far, I wouldn't have thought, tonight. She'll be there trying to get any intel she can. As an error there for the Rabbitohs. Well, we've got an opportunity now for Fremantle.
Forward half possession, Donny.
Oh.
Your favourite.
Maybe even a tackle inside the 20 here might be coming up.
Points on offer. None of those latter ones. We don't care about them anymore.
Well, let's hope that they don't knock on at the base of the scrum here.
Already seen one tonight. Was for Ellenbrook, though. Or was it in the previous game altogether, Donny? I've lost track on a Friday night. Norton shows up into the line. Manning Daniel was wrapped up pretty smartly by Swanell in the end. Very narrow in towards the ruck. Nowhere really to go for Runga. Now the shape sets out left-hand side. Norton's just trying to part between two forwards. Gets the ball now. Back door. Released it well. There was no one really left on the outside, though, for Higgins. One more to play with. Slow ruck. Nona Bush just holds it down. Doesn't get blown. Can get a good setup. Split the park in two here. Option coming on last. All the fingers are pointing to the right. Norton, early release through the hands. Jetta couldn't hold on for long enough. And we're going to turn this one over. About 10 metres out from the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs line. No real finish to the set.
No real much of anything in the set, to be quite honest, Nick. The Ellenbrook defence needs a lot of credit. That they certainly shut down anything that looked like developing, and they're up in the face there of the Fremantle Roosters and controlled that set defensively. They never looked in any danger, any trouble, and they've done it well. Because one aspect, I guess, we haven't spoken about that the Rabbitohs might want to explore is to test their goal line defence. You just intentionally make a few errors and put themselves under pressure and see how they hold up to that. Do a fair bit of defence on your own line, but they look in a bit of a mood to me.
Yeah, they look like they just want to carry on with the job here. They're not going to take any silly risks, that's for sure, from this position here on in, but certainly just converting and getting that confidence of getting over the line is something that's going to be held towards them. Even like this with Nona Bush, error, which will be handy for Fremantle. Nona Bush probably has had the least amount of carries in a game she's ever had tonight, so shared the ball around where we know that she wants to do at least a hit up a set every other week and rarely spends any time on the bench, but has been able to uninject herself from the game tonight, which is good. And I would think maybe with 10 minutes to go, she might re-inject herself just to get that last bit of lactic through, push yourself, make sure you've got a bit of fitness under the belt. Defensively, though, to come back on your original point, I don't think they're going to be interested in purposely marching themselves down the field.
I tell you what, if you're the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs coach, this might be the most nervous 20 minutes of your season.
Yeah.
The only thing you want to avoid, you don't want anybody getting injured. You've got this game sewn up, you've got the minor premiership sewn up, you've got a place in the grand final sewn up, but you've still got 20 minutes to get through where you don't want anyone getting hurt.
It's such a tricky conundrum that I still can't quite work out in my head. One game of finals for finishing on top. You've got just one big game. It's true. Off the week off, with not that, there's a lot. A game of footy is a game of footy, but you raise your heart rate a lot when you get to that first week of finals. The first 15 minutes of your first game of finals is the tightest you'll ever be. Then you settle into the fixture. But to not have that little go at the line before we get to the big dance, it is risky. Is that actually over the line? Maybe pushed over into touch. It was just weird celebrations. It must have all been Ellenbrook fans.
Yeah, it's the Ellenbrook fans celebrating the getting tackled into touch, and some good defence up against the sideline. Just knocking Tiana Jenkins into touch. But you're right, and I'm sure NRL WA would have loved the Westpac Women's Premiership to have a top four finals team and be going into finals this weekend rather than the next weekend. But again, if you've got a 4-team competition, like it's
you've got to kick someone out.
Well,
you have to kick someone out.
Exactly. It's never good when every team from round one is already in finals, no matter what they do. You could win 0 games and make finals, which isn't fair.
And if you ask the question, Nick, would you like a 5th team? Not this year. I think we've had a good competition. There is no knock on the competition at all. NRL WA have put on a good Westpac Women's Premiership for another year. I just get concerned.
Give me 8 teams, mate. It's,
we'll get more. Don't worry. This is growing. Nice little pick back through the middle. Loose footy here for Swanell and the Rabbitohs. And they're quickly shifting back deep out left-hand side. Look for a couple of releases of hands. They might want to get into some good work here. Backdoor, double shift. Turner's ball was not the greatest. And then Ruru Hanaki taken high again. Just swinging arms over the top. And yeah, halted, wanted to get back in defence. Now Shefford Salt.
Well, this might be it, is it?
Yeah, I think it has to be it. Well, the rare fourth warning. I respect it because there is no volition behind these tackles at 22-0, but you're very lucky Fremantle Roosters outfit, and that's just ugly footy underneath.
I'm not sure exactly what occurred there. It looked like she almost intentionally kicked it, but I think she dropped it and then kicked it. And then Fremantle knock it on as well, so knock on both ways.
Worst tap in history there.
We've seen we've seen two bad ones tonight. We saw one in the first game, a tap from the 20-metre restart that was a knock-on under no pressure, and that one from a tap restart was no better as Frida Assam. Getting physical there. Looked like she was trying to wrestle a steer, but in the end, the Roosters allowed to play the ball. Trying to set some sort of platform. And again, held up, driven backwards. And some not so pretty play. It comes out to Keisha Marshall, who tries to change the point of attack and do what she does, but handled well by the Rabbitohs. So now the Roosters. Again, just with a hit up, the ball comes free. There was definitely two in the tackle and a penalty to the Roosters.
That's a fair enough penalty as well. Cautiously waiting to take the tap here, just giving Ellenbrook plenty of time to be set up in defence. Great little tackle underneath by Rangi Clare. Short side, little dip for the Roosters. Just crossing over the halfway line. They've still got good intent. And the way they're looking to attack here, it's just having no real effect on what has been a very switched on defensive unit. Now the Roosters look to work through a couple sets of hands.
Well, it hasn't been the best of performances by Fremantle, but I mean, you look at a few players that haven't appeared tonight. So no Claudia Foster, no Mahina Langalanga, no Alex King. So there's a few players that they'll have to come back into the team that will certainly make a difference. Yeah, it's their physicality. They've been physically dominated here by Ellenbrook. That's been probably the most concerning for me.
Yeah, the outs are outs. Don't get me wrong, but it hasn't looked like a team that's missing players. It looks like a team that's down in confidence. It's the biggest worry in the last week before finals. Good inside ball, Ruru Hanaki. Still with 13 minutes to go here. The scoreline is honestly the most impressive part of this evening. And we could finally lengthen it back out again. Mika through the line, and they'll want to play this one quickly. Nona Bush on the right-hand side. Half wants this to go through Thompson. Get on it. Thompson. Grubber through early in the set. No one really on the same wavelength, though. Surrender tackle 1 metre out from the line, and maybe by design through the kick of Thompson herself that she wanted to defend up here.
Absolutely, just jammed down into a corner. Now let's turn up the heat with our defence. Their line speed's been pretty good all night. I think Ellenbrook, they'll be starting to tire as well because they've played at a pretty high intensity, and you've got to think that's going to take it out of you towards the back end of a game. So there'll be a few players for the Rabbitohs. Their lungs will be burning, and this will be an important little period for them to get through as well. It comes out, now trying to go through, and a penalty earned there by Horner. Just fighting to get up. She's had a quiet night as well, Katarina Horner. Quite regularly one of the Roosters' best, but earns a penalty for a side there. There's that little turtle over the top there from Taliana Mika. Just spent a little bit too long in the ruck. And well, there's a couple of little gifts here from the referee. I don't know whether there was much in that one.
Just wants the general speed of the ruck to be brought up a little bit, but the first one was there.
First one was there.
The
second one, I think it was more the player with the ball that was pushing than the tackler, but the referee sees what he sees. And a penalty to the Roosters, and they'll have a chance to give themselves something to take into next week.
Got to get consolation points if you think you're going to be any chance of going the double after this. 10 minutes to go, comes up on our clock. Sam just wrangling second player into the tackle. Didn't quite hold on the whole way down. They're all very flat out here, the Roosters on the left-hand side. They're pulling jersey numbers from everywhere. Maybe a couple change at half-time as well. Norton, always in the 6 at least. Out wider for Bailey. Managed to get that one in. Was a strong way to hold on to the footy. And Bush just tries to disrupt the carry all the way through. Nice straight and run by, I believe, Jetta maybe in the middle. No, sorry, it was Horner trying to get involved again. Oh, I'm wrong in both ways. Henry.
Third time lucky.
Getting there eventually. Norton with a decent jab into the corner. Lost forward by the Fremantle Roosters. Dotted down anyway. And he's found a penalty for obstruction anyway.
Yeah, he's got... So it was knock on by Keisha Marshall. He's also got her in front of the kicker. Penalty to the Rabbitohs. So wrong in many ways. What's been the tail of the tape, particularly in this second half? There's been a few plays that there's been a lot of things that haven't gone quite right, Nick.
Who's impressed you more tonight, Donnie? The Rabbitohs or the Giants? Two different oppositions.
Yeah, well, I think that the Giants were certainly challenged. I don't know that the Rabbitohs have been challenged all that much here tonight. They've come out, they've been on top from the get-go.
I'll rephrase. Give me your rankings, 4th to 1st tonight then. Let's, if you want to pencil in the Roosters at 4, I want you 3, 2, 1 above that.
Well, I think you've got to go Ellenbrook, Joondalup, and then North Beach.
So it stays pretty in its order?
Pretty much in terms of the ladder.
Yep.
Although I think North Beach were more impressive than Fremantle so far tonight. But North Beach, their season is done. And, you can understand that in a way. I mean, Fremantle came into this game after the results of that first game. They didn't have anything to play for, really. They were going to finish in 3rd, play in a preliminary final next week, regardless of what they did.
It just hasn't been a successful tune-up. Worrying times, Turner, flat. Good mark-up tackling across the face. 5th and last. Jeray Turner points high and right out to the right-hand side. Thompson will kick it for it. Nice one-on-one. Bobbles out backwards. They lost forward in the end. It should be a Fremantle Roosters ball across the back.
I think you're kind of right in what you said would happen in this second half, Nick. The Rabbitohs, it does feel like they've put a few different players in different positions, key players that are, Kaylee Thompson maybe playing the 5/8 role or going into a wider role and letting Jeray Turner, Mahina Rangi-Claire has just come back onto the field. It looks like she's going into 9, so they're trying a few different things to... Yeah, I think you never know what's going to happen in the grand final. You want those players to be versatile.
You have to be very versatile because, I mean, Kaylee Thompson, all power to her, but she's going to get targeted in a grand final, that's for sure. A knee could get very quickly popped out the side. We do get to see throughout the season Turner and Claire play a lot of first receiving roles, so they're not short of first receivers. That's all through and through. I think it's around the park, exactly as you said. Let's all practice going in at half. Let's all practice maybe playing second pass out. Tui Cope being able to get a couple more balls. I mean, Sarah Arsam still out in the middle there, but Frida probably is the worry. Is back off the field again. Only done the 2 stints tonight, which whether it's a fitness, whether it's a niggle, whether it was, a hit and now they're being cautious, I'm not sure. But you just do want to test people and move them around. Lena Nona Bush still really not injected into the game tonight as well.
No, you're right on that. And Tui Cope is an interesting one for me. I'd love to see her get into the middle of the field, playing in that sort of centre role. A forward pass from dummy half, a long way forward from Demi Goldsworthy. She puts her hand up and apologises. But when your player overruns it like that, you just got to have the discipline not to throw that pass. She's one that'll have a bit of work to do, I think, over the next 2 weeks. Demi Goldsworthy has worked into that 9 role. She's done a lot of good things. Tonight hasn't been her best night. She's thrown a couple of passes that haven't hit the mark, and a forward pass there. But very, very good player. Definitely a real competitor. But will have an important role to play in the coming weeks, and she's going to need to get those plays right.
It's probably one of the most intimidating. I think we spoke about it maybe 6 weeks ago, Donny. It's probably the most intimidating jersey to roll into in this competition is the number 9 at Ellenbrook. I mean, we've seen how many players roll into that jersey and become superstars throughout this competition's last couple of years, and a lot of pressure gets put on Demi Goldsworthy now stepping into that role, but you just have to step up and suck it up because there's some key receivers on the outside that are demanding good pill.
Absolutely. I mean the loss of Pio Pomare was always going to be a difficult void to fill. And at the start of the year, they tried to transition Mina Rangi-Claire into that role. Didn't really work. She never really looked comfortable in the 9 role, and
it was very regulation. Nothing wrong.
No, nothing wrong.
But I never fell in love with it. Yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't quite work out when to run, when to pass. What she was, it wasn't natural for her, and they brought Demi Goldsworthy in as the season has progressed, and it seems to have allowed Mahina to sort of move into positions where she's a little bit more comfortable and a lot more effective for the Rabbitohs. So I think it's been a good move. But she's definitely got a massive job to do in the next couple of weeks. As we see Frida Assam bumps off 1, bumps off 2, gets to the fullback, says, "Get out of my way." Gets towards the line, and she's about a metre short.
Yeah, it would have shut me up if she got that extra metre.
Now the pass goes out to Jariah Turner, tips it on to Kaylee Thompson, says, "Have another try, Huia." They're not going to stop her. They come across desperate to try and stop her, but they're never going to be able to do it. Huia Swinell gets a double, and the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs celebrate as they stretch this to a 26-0 lead.
Just look at that last little duck of the shoulder. Turns in so strongly and called it right even before it happened there, Donny. You're not going to stop her because she just knows how to position that body when it full tilts. And another good try to the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs. A very good setup to a team that's going to be playing in 2 weeks' time in a grand final. 26 points to 0 on the Fuel to Go and Play scoreboard. Just the question is, who are they going to verse? Roosters or Joondalup? Right now, Sportsbet are taking any dollars you'll throw at them if you go the Roosters. I'll take all money.
Well, as I say, the Roosters have had a really good season. They've been. Last week we talked about how they were sitting in 3rd and had the best for and against in the entire comp. So they are a team that on their day can beat anyone. Today is not their day. Next week, the week after, if they can have 2 good days, that's all it takes. There's enough class and quality that we have seen throughout this season to suggest that Fremantle, they can bounce back from this. This game is not indicative of what the Roosters are capable of as that kick is waved away.
Do we know where we're playing next week, Donny? That's a great question.
Next week will be at Fremantle, Treeby.
We'll be at Treeby, which is a big help for the Roosters. It's on a Saturday, though. Don't be tuning in on the Friday night. We played before the men's. And if there's anything that's going to help the Roosters get into that spot, it's their favourite thing, playing at home.
Well, it's always an interesting one because the preliminary final is held with whoever finished second in the men's competition. The Fremantle Roosters, they could win that 1v2 clash against North Beach next week, and they might not even be playing in the game, and it'll still be a treaty, which will help the women. But their men's team may not be playing, depending on if they can win tomorrow, then they'll go straight through to the grand final, and it'll be North Beach basically in a game at hosting a game at Treaty.
As you do. Final 30 seconds here. One more roll of the dice, and we'll sign off. Nice and late here, 9:10 local time for the Westpac Women's Premiership. The fans have stayed around. Giants are still hunting around the ground, getting that last piece of intel, although I'm sure the windscreen wipers are starting to get the dew off the car. Oh, nice, another final run for us. Must have been listening. He really has done some good work in the last minute and a half.
I'll show you, Neary.
I'm just concerned. How do you tell them you're a fan and you want to see them do well? And I wanted to see more footy. This one's kicked dead in goal. We're going to have a full-time whistle blown in the centre of the park. Your minor premiers for the year, the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs, booked themselves a spot in the grand final. Donny Bell, they're going to be hard to beat.
They certainly are. I mean, on that performance, they go in, they finish on top of the ladder, they go into the grand final, and they'll go into the grand final as favourites, regardless of who they play.
Next week, we're going to have Fremantle Roosters taking on the Joondalup Giants, and it's going to probably be, as Donny said, a Fremantle Roosters home game, even though it's technically part of the men's fixtures. We'll take a little break now for what is going to be a 6-day break, 8-day break till next Saturday, if you can do the math correctly. Our final score, once again, the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs, 26 points to 0, a dominant booking into the grand final. We'll catch you all next week.